Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and my stomach is kind of upset right now. Like, I don't know what I did to make my stomach mad at me, but it either has something to do with the Eggo waffles I had this morning, or the overabundance of syrup, even though it's low carb and low sugar. I don't know, something upset my stomach, and I don't want to say it's the waffles because I love them. But I don't know. My stomach is not happy with me, so if you hear the sounds of illness or unnecessary retching, sorry to be a little gross, but at least you'll understand why. So let's quick roll soundtrack. And we're doing jazz again. Alright, cool. So last time on the Signature Arcana Spotlight series, we did Heroic Maelstrom. So now let's have a look and see what comes next. And I think next we do Snowflake Chakrams. Now this is a very interesting one because it just kind of does this... It does that. And then you use it as a signature. And it just does more of that. Which means it's kind of okay for bosses, kind of okay for mobs. It's just this weird kind of like in-betweeny sort of thing. Like, it's a little hard to describe how exactly it works. Although you got to see it firsthand, so maybe it's not that hard to describe. My brain is not functioning. Alongside my stomach, neither one of them are functioning properly at the moment. But this is one of those orbitals, so the best way to use it would either be with something that strikes at kind of a mid-range, or something that goes along with movement. But you don't want to do too much movement because you do want things to kind of... Like, the rotating chakrams you want to hit multiple times in order to get the most damage and control out of it. So probably the best thing to do is go with something like Tidal Blast, which is kind of like a mid-range burst damage. Like, you don't want things that are going to shove your enemies too far... too far out of range, so you don't want things that have heavy knockback. Maybe Dragon Circuit is the best option, because Dragon Circuit has very little knockback. Then for this, again, we've got good options. Fiery Yo-Yo doesn't do that much knockback. This is another circular one, so you've got all-around coverage. This is another low knockback one that would work quite nicely. Same with Riptide, oddly enough. So I think what I go with is I go with my first instinct and go Fiery Yo-Yo. Actually, I should go Bolt Rail. Then we're going to go Frost Feint. And there we go. We've got ourselves a nice little run here. I'm going to stick with the Red Robe, mostly because it does both critical chance and damage. Now, do I take a damage up? Do I take... Like, what I could do is go Ring of Reserves, but that doesn't do anything for Snowflake Chakrams, which is what I'm trying to focus on. You know what? Sometimes when you're just unsure of what to do, the best thing to do is just... Yeah, well, no, if I'm going to go with Analytical Monocle, I should use the Yellow Robe. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. Let's go Yellow. We're going to go Awe, because this is going to turn into a critical hit run. Alright, there we go. Sorry about all of the confusion. But again, you get to hear my thought process in real time. So hopefully it all makes sense. Then we're going to want to start with the twins. Perfect. Alright. So I sincerely hope everyone is doing well today. I mean, outside of my stomach problems, it has been, you know, a pretty average day for me, so no major complaints here. So as you can see with Snowflake Chakrams, the best thing you... Ooh, hello. Well, I'm not even thinking about this, I want that. But the best thing you can do with it is use it as sort of a retreating attack. You set it up and then just kind of slowly move away from your enemies. Also, I'm getting really badly beat up here. Blame my stomach problems. Now, the thing that I like about Snowflake Chakrams is that it gives you coverage. The thing that I don't like about it is that oscillating pattern that it has where it goes out and then back in. In that respect, I actually like Cardus Prime a lot better, but Cardus Prime isn't a signature, so... But it's also really long-lasting, so... You know, it does stuff. And when I say it does stuff, I mean that it can keep juggling enemies around for a little while, it can just make things nice and rough on your enemies. But because it oscillates out, and I'm not even sure oscillate is the right word. I think it is. It just kind of makes the whole thing a little inconsistent. Because you see, at some point or another, it stops hitting enemies that are near you, and it just makes everything awkward. Like, there's a reason why I don't do Snowflake Chakram runs very often, and that's just because it's such a weird Arcana to use. It's like, when you first start using it, you're thinking to yourself, oh boy, this'll be a lot of fun. It'll just be constantly keeping enemies off my back. Then you put it into practice, it's like, oh, this is really awkward and silly. But surely you can now see that if you can find a way to cast it multiple times in quick succession, they overlap and create this just kind of circling buzzsaw of snowflakes that can be a lot of fun. So I am by no means saying that this is bad, just weird. And the other thing you'll of course have noticed by now is that it doesn't have a lot of knockback on its own. So you really need to kind of keep your enemies juggled properly. And that's also why I say even though it's an orbital, it's not one that you want to use a lot of movement with because it just makes things difficult. Makes it difficult to land all the hits and get as much damage as you can out of it. And if you're using it to keep enemies off your back, well, when it starts rotating outwards, it kind of stops doing that, so... What I will say is that I find this Arcana to be interesting. Like, the potential is there for something really fun out of this one, but... It is hard to use. So I think the best way to look at it is, instead of necessarily looking at it as an orbital, look at it as like a passive. Like it just does a decent amount of passive damage. Which, depending on your run, what other Arcana you're using, your personal preference when it comes to playstyle, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Like, there's a lot of things you can do with Snowflake Chakrams that can be interesting depending on what you're going through. In my personal opinion, it's kind of best used, like I had mentioned earlier, as like a retreating attack. Alright, I like the idea of Flame Fusion, even though I know it won't be great against Zeal. It'll work wonders against Shu. Okay, I guess we'll just go straight to the boss room then. I thought I was going to teleport to it, but I was wrong. Alright, so yeah, let's go ahead and grab this. And I don't want Fading Petal, so we just move on. With no upgrades to our Arcana, Iris. Bad enough that I have a really upset stomach. Now you have to be a jerk too. Alright, not bad. I am not going to change my... Sorry about that noise. Okay, I'm not going to change my basic, but there is something to be said for using Snowflake Chakrams with a heavily movement-based build. Mostly because, as I said, it mostly acts as just kind of a passive damage aura. So there's something to be said for just using it while moving around a lot. So it's this weird thing where it's versatile, but strangely inconsistent. That's kind of why you don't see me use it very often. I prefer things that are more consistent. But I can definitely see why someone would like this. It's just, if what they like is the orbital aspect of it, I would highly recommend Storm Entourage, or hold on, I'm trying not to get my ass beat. Or Storm Entourage or Cardus Prime first. And no, neither one are necessarily a signature. Which leads to my second point. If you want something like that, I would recommend choosing a different signature. Like, this is one of those spells that's way better on paper than it is in practice. But, unlike things like Heroic Maelstrom, I actually don't have a problem using this one. Because it creates this interesting playstyle where you're constantly spacing out your enemies. And like I said, with proper spacing, this can be a lot of fun. Well, I don't want to necessarily give up Dragon Circuit, and I have no guarantee he's going to take Flame Fusion. And I don't really need to say a whole lot about the cushion flip-flops. Those very much are one of the best defensive Arcana for a reason. Okay, so we take that, and then we'll come back and adopt our fairy friend, even though she is of the worst element for what I'm going up against. But you know how I am. I never turn down the chance to adopt a fairy. Hey, Darksage, do you think it's odd that you're a grown man that likes fairies? I don't know, do you think it's weird that you're a more than likely grown person judging someone for what they like? What do you do again? Okay. Alright, so I don't have the money to upgrade Flame Fusion this time, but maybe on the next floor. But actually what I would really like is upgrades to either Dragon Circuit or Bolt Rail. Those are what I would really like. Okay, so the reason why I'm not picking up the Shark Mask is because I don't necessarily want it to be 20% slower to get my signature. It's already slow enough to get my signature as is. Alright, so let's go ahead and pop up here and grab the Flame Fusion up. Oh, wait. What if we run into Dr. Song, though? It won't matter, because there's a chance that she could take Dragon Circuit. I don't want to give up Dragon Circuit, so there. I do have to admit, though, there are definitely other signatures that I would rather use other than Snowflake Chakrams. Like, there are a few water-based... Like, I know it just kind of seems like right now I just don't like the water-based signatures, but that's not entirely true. There are water-based signature spells that I do like. But so far, this is just 3 in a row that I've just kind of not really liked. By design, of course, because I am going from what I've personally viewed as my least favorite ones and have been working my way up from there. That's what I did with Fire as well. And it is Dr. Song. Okay. Well, It would be nice to get one of her relics, but I'm not going to sacrifice Dragon Circuit for it. And seeing as that is the non-enhanced Arcana that I've been holding on to for the longest, even if I go buy another one, that's likely what she's going to take. This is such an awkward spell to use. I can't wait to get into the ones I actually really like using. Alright, we are going to buy this. No, leave the rest. Actually, no, I do want to buy this. Alright, on to Miss Zeal. Who is not going to like my Snowflake Chakrams very much, but she doesn't have to like them. Okay, that was just an awful combo. Jeez. Okay, why not? And we move on to the hardest boss in the game. So hopefully we don't have too many troubles making our way through. So without much more to say about Snowflake Chakrams without repeating myself, I would like to ask, what are your thoughts on Snowflake Chakrams? I don't know, I don't hate this one, but I'm not a fan. Yeah, see what I mean about how unreliable this spell is? Like, all it takes, especially with Retro Floor Plan on, is for one thing to go wrong, and that's it. Fortunately, I'm still alive, so I am doing the best I can. Okay, I'm getting a little annoyed by the idea that neither Bolt Rail nor Dragon Circuit are getting enhanced. At least the saxophone solo helps you mellow out. Sometimes that's all you really need after a nice long day of your stomach trying to kill you. Kinda makes me wish I had purchased the helmet earlier. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get rid of that. We'll take... Probably setting myself up for failure with this one, but there you go. But, just in case, let's also grab that. Oh, come on! Okay, I'm just gonna take a risk. Yeah, 472 damage. What the hell? Stupid Snowflake Chakrams creating a hole in my armor. And admittedly, no one is making me play this, but it is the next one on my list of signature Arcanas, so... There you go. Bottleneck works just fine. Hey, that time Snowflake Chakrams actually worked out the way I wanted it to. Hit things behind me. Fantastic. Ah, crud. Alright, that could have been worse. Alright, and because we're trying to fill in the map, here we go. Then everything else is down here. Hey, Iris, you actually get... Well, I mean, at least I get that upgraded. Alright, but since I didn't get Dragon Circuit upgraded, I'm switching it to this. The reason why I bought the sword. No, thank you. And you don't really have anything I want either. Aside from, I'm gonna grab that. Okay, remember, hardest boss in the game, so let's not, as he says, throw caution to the wind. Let's play it carefully. Ugh. God, it's so easy to get caught up in his attack. No, thank you. My one issue with that spell is how much it shifts around the enemy's positions. Okay, that's enough. Oh, and even though it looks like it should be a barrier, I just realized this, it doesn't block enemy shots. So yeah, the whole thing is just kind of a letdown. Oh, and then she finally does the Dragon Circuit. Alright, well you can all basically tell by now that Snowflake Chakrams is a spell that, you know, it kinda has potential, but it's really predicated on how well you can space your enemies out. Ah, lame. Oh, look at that. The damage aura didn't even last long enough to hit that thing. Okay, well, at least it wasn't that difficult to secure a victory. But yeah, this is a very awkward spell that just leaves you almost completely open to enemy attacks from time to time. It's just not what you want from an orbital. Like I said, stick to Storm Entourage or Cardus Prime, honestly, and just use a different signature. Although I suppose if you combine this with Cardus Prime, you would get something interesting. But I don't know. I think at that point you just do Cardus Prime and Tearing Whirlwind and call it a day. I don't know, that's my thought, but... Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. I appreciate you coming and spending some of your free time with me here today. Feel free to try out Snowflake Chakrams if you want. My recommendation is... there are better orbitals out there, but that having been said, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments or on my social media. I hope you're all doing fantastically on this beautiful day, and I will see you in the next one. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and you take care, everybody.